Yeon-Myeong's focus returned to the battle. His sword, now sharper and deadlier than ever, glistened in the dim light of the battlefield, ready to strike once more. There would be no stepping stone today, no elevation for Yeogiljun. The fate of this fight was already sealed. One of them was going to die, and Yeon-Myeong had no intention of it being him. Yeon-Myeong's blade cut through the air with precision, his strike landing forcefully on Yeogiljun's body. A calculated strategy, conceived in the midst of battle, had succeeded, giving him a momentary edge. As he launched into a relentless barrage, his mind raced over the implications of his technique. He grasped that true mastery lay in imbuing intent so powerful it could reshape the nature of objects. If he could manipulate his energy's fundamental nature with such intent, altering its qualities as he desired, the limitations currently straining his form might cease to hold him back. In the past, his overwhelming strength had always exacted a price, pushing his body to its breaking point and threatening to unravel him from within. But now, if he could transmute the iron-like essence of his power into something deadly, into poison, he could unleash his most formidable sword techniques without fearing the inevitable toll on his blood vessels. This revelation drove him forward, his strikes both relentless and refined, each one edging him closer to an unshackled form of his former life's abilities, free from the confines of his mortal limitations. Yeogiljun met Yeon-Myeong's strike with unyielding force, blocking the assault and swiftly countering to break Yeon-Myeong's momentum. The clash resounded through the air as Yeogiljun's unwavering presence emanated a fierce, unshakable aura. For a fleeting moment, Yeon-Myeong hesitated, his focus momentarily thrown. But as he absorbed the shock of Yeogiljun's words and intent, he quickly intensified his speed, pushing himself to meet his opponent's rapid, relentless rhythm. Moving with unparalleled speed, Yeon-Myeong fought to close the gap, each strike meant to diminish the space between them. Yet, the task was more challenging than anticipated. Yeogiljun's defenses held strong, and each attempt to press forward only forced Yeon-Myeong back. The mounting resistance became clear, and he struggled to find an opening, his focus tested by Yeogiljun's continuous barrage. Every parry and block seemed to demand more of him, and the realization settled in. Reaching Yeogiljun would require more than sheer speed alone. Each parry and block drained him further, solidifying the understanding that to overcome Yeogiljun, he would need to dig deeper, strategizing beyond brute force. Sensing an advantage, Yeogiljun surged forward, his movements seamless and swift as he closed in on Yeon-Myeong. Claws raised, he struck with lethal intent. In response, Yeon-Myeong steadied himself, his blade ready to intercept the attack. The clash of their forces was cataclysmic, the collision of blade and claw releasing a powerful shockwave that rippled through the surroundings, stirring the air with the fierce energy of their battle. Yeogiljun's rage radiated from him like an inferno, his features contorted with fury as he directed a torrent of contempt toward Yeon-Myeong. Each word he spat was laced with sharp conviction, a dismissal of Yeon-Myeong's newfound insight and skills. To Yeogiljun, the efforts of his opponent, no matter how clever or innovative, led only to a futile end. He envisioned today as the day of Yeon-Myeong's demise and the complete obliteration of the Tang family, a moment that would solidify his own dominance. But as Yeogiljun concluded his scornful tirade, his attention was drawn to Yeon-Myeong. The young lord bore a smirk that sparked surprise and irritation within him. It was an expression filled with something more profound, a hint of confidence that seemed to transcend the chaos of their conflict. The defiance in Yeon-Myeong's demeanor stirred a dark curiosity in Yeogiljun. What lay beneath that smirk? Was it mere bravado, or did it conceal a strategy that could shift the balance of this life-and-death struggle? Yeon-Myeong's gaze exuded a calm assurance, a silent testament to his belief that Yeogiljun was gravely underestimating the strength of the Tang family. Since assuming the mantle of young lord, he had dedicated himself to transforming the warriors of his house, pushing them through rigorous training that sharpened their skills and fortified their resolve. His lineage and leadership were not mere titles, they represented a legacy forged in resilience and power, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Tang family. He understood that he was not alone in this fight. Alongside him stood warriors whose mastery over the elements matched his own, each one a formidable force within the fire realm. Together, they formed a formidable front, ready to defend their legacy and push back against the tide of darkness represented by the Black Death Alliance. In the heart of the Tang family's territory, Tang Jihye stood at the forefront, her gaze fierce as she led the family's warriors against the encroaching forces of the Black Death Alliance. Her presence was a pillar of strength for her comrades, each word igniting their resolve. The warriors around her steeled themselves, their determination evident as they prepared to fight with everything they had. The memories of past struggles with this enemy were etched into each face. But today, under Tang Jihye's unwavering leadership, they were driven by a renewed purpose. Their loyalty to the young lord and to the family's honor propelled them forward, sparking a collective ferocity. Together, they surged as one, ready to show their enemies that the Tang family would not crumble under attack. Nor would they ever again be reduced to mere victims. The defenders braced for the coming storm, determined to stand their ground until Yeon-Myeong's return, embodying the unbreakable spirit of their clan. Yeon-Myeong deflected Yujin's attack with a surge of force, the fierce momentum driving him forward as he seized an opening and closed the distance between them. Every fiber of his being resonated with the determination to end this confrontation and secure the fate of the Tang family. Yet, Yujin's resolve remained unshaken, his voice sharp with bitterness as he retaliated, fury igniting his movements. His face twisted with rage as memories of the past bled into the present. His fallen brother, and Yeon-hee, whose death he blamed on the indifference of the so-called righteous sects. These wounds ran deep, stoking his vengeance, his every strike fueled by the pain of betrayal and the desire to reclaim justice on his own terms. Yugyeoljin's energy surged around him, a palpable force that crackled in the air as he raised his palm, gathering strength for a devastating counterattack. With lethal intent, he unleashed the blow, his focus unwavering as the impact crashed against Yeon-Myeong's defenses. The sheer force of the attack was overwhelming, sending Yeon-Myeong hurtling backward, his footing lost in the brutal exchange. Yeon-Myeong's body slammed into the ground from the force of the attack, the impact leaving him dazed and barely clinging to consciousness. Blood trickled from his mouth, his vision blurring, as darkness threatened to pull him under. In that perilous moment, a familiar presence emerged, his companion spirit, the Imugi. The serpent's form loomed over Yeon-Myeong, eyes sharp with urgency as it sensed the imminent danger. Desperate to rouse him, the Imugi called out, its voice laced with frustration as its pleas went unheard. It knew the bond between them was too deep to sever, that if Yeon-Myeong's spirit faded, its own would perish with him. Determined not to let that fate come to pass, the Imugi gathered its chi, channeling it directly into Yeon-Myeong's body in a burst of revitalizing energy. The jolt surged through him, piercing the haze, and his eyes flickered open as consciousness returned. Yeon-Myeong's eyes snapped open as he regained his footing, feeling the surge of energy from the Imugi's intervention. His gaze fixed on Yugyeoljin, who closed in with a powerful intent, his aura intensified by the certainty of his next strike. Yugyeoljin's approach was swift, his energy gathering in a potent, focused wave, a clear intent to overpower the defensive strength of Yeon-Myeong's technique. With unwavering focus, Yeon-Myeong steadied his grip on his sword, bracing himself for the oncoming assault. He understood that Yugyeoljin had discerned the weakening effect of his sword art, recognizing its ability to disrupt even the most formidable techniques. But Yeon-Myeong was prepared to match force with force, channeling every ounce of strength and precision into his counterstrike. As Yugyeoljin closed in, Yeon-Myeong met him head-on, their energies colliding in a fierce burst that shook the air around them, each combatant determined to overcome the other's unyielding power. As the battle escalated around her, Tang Jie assessed the dire situation with a growing sense of urgency. Even with half of the Tang family's forces sent to aid the joint sects, the enemies within her range of detection vastly outnumbered them, their forces more than double what remained to defend. Her sharp gaze scanned the battlefield, keenly aware of a dark and overpowering aura advancing toward them, cutting through her warriors with merciless precision. The presence radiated strength at least equal to her own, if not greater, one of the notorious 6 Grandmasters of the Evil Path. Realizing the immediate danger, Tang Jihye steeled herself, knowing she had to act swiftly to prevent further bloodshed among her ranks. Just as she readied to intervene, a powerful shockwave tore through the air, sending a chilling ripple across the battlefield. Her senses flared as she turned toward the horizon, her eyes widening in disbelief. The direction of the shockwave was unmistakable. It emanated from the Black Death Alliance fortress. Could Yeon-Myeong be locked in combat there? The sheer scale of the energy was staggering, far beyond what she thought possible between mere mortals. Unease tightened her chest as she silently willed for his safety, hoping that Yeon-Myeong, her son, in the midst of that chaotic clash, would emerge unharmed. Yeon-Myeong's breath came in ragged gasps as he parried Yu-Gil's relentless assault, feeling the strain on his body with every strike. His mind raced as he recognized the technique Yu-Gil had just used, a precise replication of the Annihilation Sword Strike, a move Yeon-Myeong himself had mastered. The force behind it was astounding, equal in intensity to his own attack, as if Yu-Gil had unraveled and reconstructed the lethal power of the technique mid-battle. The realization weighed heavily on him. Yu-Gil wasn't merely resilient against the weakening effects of his sword arts. The creature possessed a terrifying adaptability, able to mirror and perfect the annihilation technique to its full destructive potential. If left unchecked, Yu-Gil would surpass the limits of ordinary strength, evolving into a monstrous force beyond control. Yeon-Myeong's resolve hardened. He understood now that this confrontation was not only about survival, but about containing a threat that, if allowed to grow, could become unstoppable. Yu-Gil's voice dripped with a grim mockery as he spoke, his words slicing through the tension in the air like a blade. The thrill of battling formidable opponents surged within him, each clash igniting his creativity and inspiring him to forge new martial arts. Yet, there was an underlying bitterness in his tone, a recognition that mastery over martial techniques felt ultimately hollow. Even as he replicated Yeon-Myeong's movements and grasped the principles of his sword arts, it all seemed meaningless in the face of the cruel reality of their world. His thoughts spiraled into darkness as he considered the fate of those he cared for. What value did new techniques hold if they could not protect the ones he loved from those even stronger? The nature of power gnawed at him, the brutal truth that the strong would always prey upon the weak. With a surge of determination, he felt his energy coalesce around him, a palpable force radiating as he vowed to change the tide. Yu-Gil's resolve solidified. He would no longer remain a passive observer while the powerful wielded their might unchecked. He sought to establish a new order, one where he stood above all others. The ambition coursed through him, igniting a fierce determination to become the ruler of this world, to reshape it in a way that would ensure no one would suffer under the oppressive weight of power again. The air crackled with his intent, a harbinger of the chaotic shift he intended to unleash upon the realm.